Sometimes when you click on videos like this, you encounter individuals who speak confidently about downsizing, but have never actually sold their homes or gone through the challenging process of sorting through all of their belongings. If you listen closely, you might find that they've merely cleaned out a closet or organized some items, but haven't truly experienced the difficulties of downsizing an entire home. 4 years ago, we sold our home and gave away everything we owned to travel the world full-time. We didn't keep a storage unit, and while we've recently purchased a used car to travel between our 5 kids when we return for breaks, we essentially live our lives out of 2 backpacks. Today, I want to share our advice on how to tackle this significant endeavor. Whether you're preparing for your later years, seeking to live with less, or tasked with sorting through your parents' belongings after their passing, I have some tips and advice to help you simplify your life and let go of your possessions. So let's get started.
We're John and Beth, and we are the Retirement Travelers.
It's been 4 years since John and I sold our home and gave away everything we owned to travel the world full-time. We have visited over 100 countries, living in new places each week, experiencing new things, and learning something new every day. We often reflect on the turning points that set us on this journey. 3 key decisions allowed us to completely change our lives. First, we were empty nesters, and the kids had all moved away. Second, and one of the hardest, we decided it was time to stop caring what everyone else thought. And third, we decided stuff was standing in the way of our dreams. This last point was the important one, but we couldn't do it without the second one, deciding once and for all that we didn't care what everyone else thought. Let me share a quick story with you. 6 years ago, John and I were snowbirds, splitting our time between our homes in Florida and Kentucky. We had 2 houses filled with belongings accumulated from raising 5 kids. While we weren't pack rats or hoarders, we found ourselves surrounded by a lot of items we didn't use or need. Our home in Kentucky was large, and our Florida condo had 3 bedrooms. Initially, we downsized to just our condo, which was 3,100 square feet. But when John retired, we seized the opportunity to travel and set off in an RV. Living in just 250 square feet helped us to realize how little we actually needed. Upon returning from our first RV trip, we decided to sell everything and not look back. What I haven't mentioned is the process of getting rid of all of our belongings. And it was indeed a process. We learned so much along the way, and today I want to share with you the lessons we gained to help you as you start your downsizing journey. Before I begin, you should know 4 things. First, it's emotional. Throughout the process, we were constantly reminded of experiences from our lives. We remembered people and places we had lived, mourned for those we had lost, and grappled with the emotional attachments that our belongings held, especially in relation to our loved ones. Second, it is physically demanding. If you're looking for a way to burn some calories and build muscle mass, cleaning out your house is an excellent option. In fact, this served as a strong motivator for us. No matter how you do it, the truth is it requires hard work. Third, it takes time. Don't expect to complete this task over a weekend or during a week off. It can take months to accomplish. Fourth, and perhaps most importantly, it is more rewarding than you can imagine. Living without excess belongings has enriched our lives in ways we never anticipated. We have resolved never to return to accumulating things to find happiness or fill a void. Now we only want to purchase items that serve a higher purpose and continue to provide us with freedom. We don't want anything that requires wasted time on maintenance or that will distract from our bigger life goals. So where do you start? Here's our best advice for going through the process. Speak to your kids or your loved ones about their wishes regarding what they might need or can use. We spoke with our kids and gifted them some furniture, but the truth was, they didn't want that much. They were all buying their own homes, so furniture was useful, but boxes of mementos or various items like games, china, and books were not of interest to them. Figure out what to do with the big stuff. This helped us formulate an early plan of action. When the kids didn't want the dining table, we gave it away. When they wanted a sofa or a bed, we had to figure out a plan to getting it to them. Just managing this plan was hard for us since our kids were not local. Make a plan for the small stuff no one wants. For us, we looked for a charity that we could donate to, and we found 3 places. We used Goodwill, a women's shelter, and Habitat for Humanity. Goodwill took most of it. The women's shelter was used as a place for linens and items that women could use to set up a new home, and Habitat for Humanity for tools. In this process, it took many trips back and forth, and we became experts on what they would take, what time they opened and closed, and how they wanted things packed. It's a whole process, and it involved handling a lot of stuff. Having a truck or an SUV is very helpful. Our 4th bit of advice is to begin working in areas that are behind closed doors. Because this takes time, it's best not to disrupt your entire life. You're going to want to sit down and put the project out of mind at times, so we left the living room and kitchen for last. We worked behind closed doors first, and then worked our way to the living room and kitchen. Even the kitchen had cabinets that were full of unused items, but we still left it. Save all your photos and scrapbooks for last, and don't rush that process. If you can have someone hold these items for you and you can revisit them after everything else is done, it's a good ending for the process. We shipped all of ours to our daughter, and I sat down for a week and went through every picture. I threw away many bags of bad pictures or multiple shots that I knew no one would want. I felt very guilty about this. But that was my own fears and not the kids. They were happy with the pictures they received. You could also take time to copy and upload, but our kids didn't want us to do this. Start with a destination in mind. Maybe you want to go travel like us, or maybe you want to make your life easier in your old age, or maybe you want to move to a more affordable location or a job or somewhere. The point is, make a plan and look forward, not back at your journey. Going through a lifetime of things requires you to look ahead and not get bogged down by the emotional aspect. You will be sad, you will cry, you will question yourself, you will have to explain to others. The list goes on and on. Move forward and stay positive. If you really struggle with letting go, get a counselor and go have a talk. There are people who specialize in hoarding, and while you might not be a hoarder, you might have some of the same feelings and emotional struggles that hoarders have. There were times when we had to face the reality that we were acting like hoarders when we couldn't let something go. Besides asking for emotional help, ask your family to help. Our advice is to not ask for the whole house, but pick an area and ask for help. If you have grown children, ask them to help you with the garage or to help you with a bedroom closet. Sometimes having someone you love be your sounding board is a good thing. It's not always easy to hear their advice because they don't have the same emotional attachment to items, but if you step back and approach it open-mindedly, it can help. Set a deadline. I think having a deadline or a timeline is a good thing. It keeps you moving toward a goal. Otherwise, you can get distracted. For us, we sold a house and had to finish. That really gets you moving. But if it's just to live your life with less, a deadline is still a good thing. Be brutal with your choices. We were very brutal, and we gave away things we felt we would regret. But that isn't true today. We don't regret a single item. When we were faced with an expensive item or an antique, we told ourselves that we were sending it back out into the world for someone else to find. We wished it well and let it go. Don't burden others with your choices. And what I mean by this is if your kids don't want something, let it be. Move on. They get a choice in how they live their lives. And while it might be your great-grandmother's something, if the kids don't want it, let it go anyway. It's a thing. And while the memory of your great-grandmother might be great for you, it's not for your kids. Give them the ability to say, no, I don't want it. This is something we told our kids up front. You don't have to take anything, and we aren't going to push it on you. For us, we had mementos from our childhood like letter jackets and trophies, and when the kids didn't want it, we showed it to them and we let the memory live in our minds where it belonged. Start early in life. If you are newly retired, and many of our viewers are, start when you're in your 50s and 60s. Don't wait for your 80s. You won't be able to do it. Also, do it when you're both alive. We prepare for our end of life, but we burden our loved ones by not letting go of things when there are two of us to manage it. Once one of you dies, it's a much bigger and harder job on the spouse that remains. We will all downsize. Either we will do it or our loved ones will. And speaking of this, we've received so many notes from people who lament about how their parents died with a house full of stuff no one wants, and the burden has fallen on them to clean it up. They are usually daughters that are left to deal with it, and it's very hard on them. They want to remember you well, but being tasked with a mountain of stuff while they are grieving, trying to work and manage a family of their own is very hard. It's your stuff. Manage it and make their life easier. Don't procrastinate. We can all find more entertaining things to do, but putting off the project isn't going to make it go away. If you want to do a little at a time, set a deadline, write down a plan, and check things off of a list. No one wants to tackle this in one big swoop, but small actions make for big rewards. Remember, stuff is just stuff. Once you get into the swing of things, and the more you handle, the more it will just look like stuff. We go into a department store or Walmart, and it just hits us that it's just a bunch of stuff. We are in such a good place that we can discern the difference between what we need and what we don't. It feels so good to be in that space and not the former one where we felt we needed to buy things that we didn't actually need. Give with a charitable heart. I liken it to donating your organs. Once you're gone, you don't need them, but you can certainly gift them to someone who does. And by the way, that is a really good thing to do. The same goes with your stuff. Remember, you're moving on to something else, and giving your stuff to someone who can use it can make a difference in their lives. When we travel, everything that goes into our backpacks is carefully curated. We consider weight and purpose. We don't pack for the what ifs, and having only 50 or 60 liters of space makes you make decisions. Having gone through 2 houses, I know that stuff is just stuff, and I know the difference. We buy just what we need for our journey, and when we wear it out, we throw it away and replace it. My doctor told me recently that she liked my socks, and I told her I buy 7 pairs a year, all the same color, and when they wear out all at the same time, I replace them with 7 new ones. She said that was brilliant, and she was going to do the same. We do this for everything we own. We use and replace. Our life is full of adventure and exploration, and it's not focused on what we wear or how we look. Our lives are so much richer for learning these lessons and living them. I hope that this has helped you consider a different path for your life, and I'll see you next time.
Be sure to hit subscribe and follow along on our retirement journey around the world.